We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on the Miami Dolphins defense versus the Chargers. Now, this one won't be as exciting as the offensive film. The defense definitely struggled for the most part in this game, specifically versus the run. The run, they really struggled. It was one of their worst performances in a while versus the run. And that's going to happen in that Fangio defense, with them playing a lot of too high, not filling up the box like that, having a less man than they should. I think, they might have to, switch things up there, try some different things. It is only one game, so I'm not going to overreact to it, but it's not a good sign to see. A lot of players struggled versus the run. I think pretty much everyone up front struggled versus the run. I think probably Sealer was probably the most consistent player I saw, and he also had a big-time sack. I would say Sealer, Phillips, Javon Holland, and Kader Kohu were probably the most impressive defenders in this game. The rest definitely had some big-time plays or big-time mistakes or just didn't play consistently. Like Jerome Baker, Andrew Van Ginkel. I thought this was Christian Wilkins' worst game versus the run that I've seen on his film. Raekwon Davis was pretty bad. Emmanuel Ogba wasn't good. Chubb was also not good. He wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything special there. They just struggled. And there's going to be a lot of run plays to break down, but I'm going to break down a handful, but if I really wanted to, there's probably 20 plus clips I could show of them just getting gashed, but you'll get the point after a few of them, especially this 55-yarder, how this just absolutely opens up. They fill in this hole. Eckler going to hit up this hole right here. It just opens up so big. The linebackers commit down. You can see no one's really committed to this gap right here. And Baker is sort of working off Wilkins. He comes down to take on the tight end. I think this is a combination of things. First of all, good play by Eckler. And Deshaun Elliott also wasn't super impressive versus the run. He missed a lot of tackles in those areas. But Eckler sort of presses up. You just watch Wilkins on this play. He's sort of trying to avoid this double team, takes on his guy. And once he's about to peek across to get control of this gap, Eckler, the way he aims his body, you can see Wilkins is oh, he's going to the outside. I should, try to get control back over here, but he doesn't. So he manipulates that. Both of the linebackers kind of come up too fast, I think. They need to be a little more patient here. They just try to come up and fill this, and it just leaves a big hole. No one to be there on the second level at all. So it's just a combination. I think they got to, put Wilkins in maybe positions where he's more comfortable. I'm not worried about him, having a below average game versus the run because he was so dominant last season. I think he'll bounce back and be fine. But definitely the linebacker play, I think, was the biggest issue overall in this game. And the Chargers offensive line really showed up. This is one of the first third downs of the game. They end up picking it up because Herbert, escapes the pocket. But there was a lot of good. I think in coverage, they actually distributed routes really well. Dolphins in quarters here. Herbert's just able to escape late there. You can, see him escape that pocket. But look how they play this. They're a little bunched right here. Number 2 works to the outside. Ends up just coming right into this DB zone. I think it's Apple at the bottom. But you can see how they play this. The number 1 from the outside works all the way on the cross. Van Ginkel is eyeing him, but he passes him off. And once he communicates there, pass that off to that linebacker. He comes underneath and, is ready to help with the Eckler. Also, Kohu's there too. And then the number 2 works vertically to Holland's read, and he sits on it too. Just very good job of distributing. Howard on the backside staying there. The coverage, I thought overall was promising, and that's probably the most exciting thing, I think, to take away from the defense in this game is they were looking like they understood exactly what they wanted. And, that's what Fangio's defense is all about, is stopping the pass. And you just can't get gashed like they did in the run game. You can give up some running plays. It's fine. How you win in the NFL is by passing the ball. They just have to be a little more consistent, not giving up huge chunk plays every single play. There's got to be some where you actually step up and stop them. This was one of the plays where they kind of got Chargers go empty. Dolphins in quarters. They have a 4 versus 3 down here, 3 versus 2 at the top, and they just get a little caught out of position. It gets David Long matched up on a receiver. This was one of the few maybe one of the only plays where they got a deep pass on them down the field. The air yards were not very high. This is just something a communication thing. It's also a good concept to beat this. Just looking at this, Allen, breaks out he's going to go on the out, and he's just matching to it. And Howard sees number 1 press up enough vertically that he breaks on this, even though he should probably, be a little more patient, pass this off to the safety while the safety can break down on this, pass that off, and he can stay over the top and leverage Keenan. But they do a good job with their spacing here and their timing to get Howard to bite, and then it just leaves Keenan one-on-one with a linebacker. Just things that you got to be learning. I know people in the comments are definitely the defense is awful and be worried, but yeah, you should be worried, but I wouldn't overreact too much. It is only 1 week. I think the defense will be fine at some point. If they can just get up to at least a certain level while the offense stays pretty consistent, this is going to be a very tough team to beat. On those third downs, they could not stop Herbert from on these like little rushes, especially early on the game. Like they were distributing the routes well here again to get a stop, and then he just escapes the pocket. They gotta have someone, containing on these. I think, and they were always third and shorts, which was the problem. I think when it was third and long, like you saw later in the game, the edge rushers actually got a chance to pass rush, like fully pin their ears back and go, and you could see like the impact Phillips could have. But like on these plays, they were really chipping to Phillips' side, and they played these route concept down the field. Dolphins going into cover 3. They're running like a 2-man route concept, basically out of like max protection play action on 3rd and 2. They pass this off. They both match the number ones on the outside, the corners. Holland stays over the top to help the deeper one, and then Kohu, who's an underneath flat defender, finds this receiver working across the field to help take this away. And then we also have a linebacker matching the running back sneaking out of the backfield. So good job with the route distribution. Just got to let these guys not escape the pocket like that. Things that, they can definitely clean up. I like to see them, add an extra guy in the box versus the Patriots next week to stop the run because I'm not as threatened by their passing game. So we'll see. Be interesting to see how Fangio switches things up. And then we just start getting to some runs like this Kelly run. Josh Kelly was eating them apart, hitting these holes. Like people were getting beaten pretty badly here. You can see the blocking scheme run up front, working some gap scheme stuff with some pulls. The center blocks down to Wilkins here. He shoots upfield. Baker reads the flow and he overcommits a little too hard here. And it just creates there's just a number advantage to the backside. Like they have 4 here, but there's only, 6 people in the blocks. They have 6 people to block, and it creates an opportunity for him to get there. They kind of leave Ogba unblocked as the end man, but he's waiting to see if Herbert might pull it, so he's staying patient. And with all this space to work with, it's just getting basically out leveraged and outnumbered in the running game, and it's going to be tough to stop. It is I know the players definitely deserve blame, but it is tough to be in that position and make those plays when you are outnumbered. Got to at least give some credit to the run stops they did have. This one only goes for 1 yard. Wilkins basically, mans up his guy, ends up 2-gapping, basically getting control of the situation. Still see that Wilkins has it. He gets control of his guy at the point of attack, low leverage, extends those arms right there, peeks to the inside. Once he sees Kelly commit to the outside off that peek, he's able to stack shed. He's staying square, staying patient. You can see that he still has it. It's just they weren't in the best situations to execute versus the run, but they also need to execute better. The linebacker play, I feel like the D-line almost had to be perfect up front with how the linebackers were looking at the second level. All of them, David Long, Jerome Baker, Andrew Van Ginkel, they got to be better. They really need a Long to step up because I feel like he's the only one that has that sort of skill set to at least be pretty good against the run, while Baker and Van Ginkel are more known for different things. Another little 8-yard gash, just what they were doing. Dolphins only have 6 people in the box. They have to have a safety come up and help, from these looks. Sean Elliott getting involved. But you can just see they motion this guy down in the box. And if the center, works this side, this gap is open right there. Right where Kelly hits is open, just from their pre-snap alignments. If they just block it up straight base block, it's pretty easy. You can see, they bump Baker. Baker gets bumped over to be, basically lined up with the center, shade to the inside. And that's a tough position to be in. I don't know who's supposed to be the B-gap defender here. It feels like it should have been Baker. Sealer's in charge of the A, but Baker comes over and plays the other A, and no one's in the B. Chubb is, forced over here in charge of the C. He's doing what he's supposed to do, but there's just no one playing this gap. I think Baker gets over it, just gets to it too late. This things that he's struggled with at times in his career. Just got to get cleaned up with these things pre-snap and being in the right position post-snap. Also, some credit to just these runners. Kelly did a really good job of pressing the line of scrimmage, as you can see. He'll press up here, get everyone to sort of bite down, and then bounce this to the outside. This one's more on, I believe that's Ogba, who's the end man of the line of scrimmage here. He's the force defender. He's got edge. He's got contain. And once he sees basically the handoff, they think he tries to squeeze down too much. Long is reading this. I think Long does his job here. He's this gap defender. He's seeing the tight end sort of pull across here. He comes and meets him in a hole, drops this down here to meet this guy at the point of attack. Ogba just has to be the force defender. So Long actually does his job there. It was Ogba that gave up contain. And another one just right up the middle, working some inside zone insert type of action up front. Wilkins tries to create penetration, but no one's filling up. He gets down, he shoots in. He feels this guy's weight right here. He shoots in, takes on 2 guys right there at the point of attack. Baker gets kicked out. He forces this 68 all the way into the back of Eckler here. And then Davis is getting moved a lot. Look how much Raekwon gets moved. Raekwon Davis was not good in this game. He gets moved completely out of the way. And it puts the linebackers in a pretty tough spot because I think Baker's in for this gap, and Davis just gets moved all the way over like 2 gaps, and it just creates a wide open hole. Van Ginkel probably could have made a better read as well. Just players all across the board not being in the right. It's like multiple play. Every time they had a chunk play, it was like 3 or 4 players who could have done things a little bit better. Now we're going to get to the Cater Kohu show, just what he did last year, reading screens, getting down, making tackles. Great tackler, as he was last season. He's very good at reading these plays, the key and diagnose. Good feel for this. His instincts are very good. He's outside here playing, when base, he was the outside corner, nickel when they were in their nickel packages. Justin Bethel also was the dime defensive back. He made some plays as well, so that was nice to see. But yeah, really good play and read there from Kohu to stuff that up, and you'll see what he does next. And then they get the blitz sack right here from Kohu. First of all, an amazing play, and the Chargers kind of messed this up by sliding their offensive line to the right. So as you can see from this pre-snap right here, Dolphins are overloaded this side, and you'll see the last sack of the game was actually the exact opposite. The side they loaded to, they brought the blitz from the opposite side, but this one was, I feel like they were trying to disguise this like, hey, we're loading up this side to actually bring the blitz from the opposite side, but they didn't. They slide this protection initially to the right, so the center works to the right, but Phillips drops, no one comes from here, and so the center, Chubb takes on the left tackle, Sealer takes this guy, they both knife to the inside, which gives Kohu free lane to the Herbert, and he does a great job breaking down. Like, so many guys when they're in this position, like, this is such a heads-up football play. Like, how many times have we seen this where our guys coming in unblocked, anyone really, is coming in unblocked, and the quarterback just, spins out of it. It's very difficult. Like, right here, if he comes in at full speed, Herbert's just going to spin out because he starts to slow down right as he sees him make a move, and he's ready for it. That's amazing technique and gets a huge, huge stop. Without that play, I don't think they win the game. This play was like one of their big opportunities to get a stop. They did not end up getting it at 3rd and 12. This was like one of the first times in the game they had a 3rd and long situation, and they get a pressure pretty early, but they just throw this behind over here. They're running cover 6. We'll break down the coverage first and then look up front what happens. But they're running, cover 2 to the top of the screen, cover 4 to the bottom. They actually have things matched up pretty well here. He takes the flat. They match this up. He reroutes. Safety takes him. The corner has it. And this guy just sits in between all 4 defenders. I think Baker has to gain a little more depth here because he's not threatened underneath. Like, Howard is a flat defender. He's gaining some depth here, but he can get under and make that tackle. Baker's got to gain some depth. And I think the safety, who's, the deep half defender, is playing a little too deep with his depth right here. And it just creates a wide open window. It was one of their first opportunities to get to the quarterback. And they let it get there just too easily because Phillips has no chance here. He's getting chipped to this side. They were really focusing on Jalen. And then they run some action here at the bottom where Phillips knifes to the inside. Sealer gets a one-on-one, and he's able to overpower the left tackle right there and wins his rep. Gets to Herbert pretty quickly, but he's already able to find Mike Williams behind that. This was a huge, huge stop. This was held him to the field goal and gave the Dolphins a chance to take the lead the next drive with the touchdown. Dolphins go man-to-man down in the goal line, and they're actually playing man-match, which, as you can see here, how this ends up working, because look at Kohu here, who's following this guy across the screen, who they end up throwing it to. He's matching this. Once he breaks to the inside, he knows he's supposed to pass this off to Elliott because it's man match, and basically he's man everywhere he goes except to this spot right here, and he ends up replacing Elliott. So then Kohu would fall off of this. If he threw it here, Kohu would have fallen off and taken away this throwing lane, possibly getting the pick. It just confuses quarterbacks, and it has to get the ball out quickly. Phillips is also getting pressure, and it's just able to, make things pretty easy for the secondary if you're just in the right spot. Phillips actually getting around the edge, getting a chance to rush one-on-one. When Phillips was able to actually get a one-on-one, he was winning. Like, Phillips looked good when he got his one-on-one chances. They were far and few in between, So, but that is an excellently designed play. I did like what I see from the coverage scheme. Just a few hiccups there and there, but the run definitely has to be fixed. This was probably the biggest play on the drive, just the, intentional grounding. They try to run the screen, they bring the blitz, get an instant pressure, he has to throw it away. You can see basically how they set this up. They're bringing Justin Bethel on this blitz, this fire zone action. They're showing all this action to this side. They're ready for it. I really like how they set this up too, because you can see Baker's coming down he's going to blitz. They're giving more action to this side, and it just looks like, he's man-to-man on this tight end. But they end up, really just delaying over here. Baker's basically just man-to-man, pretending like he's blitzing, and it gives Bethel just a free run, forces Herbert to throw it away quickly, and I don't know why he threw it all the way out there. He should have just chucked it at the running back's feet to not get intentional grounding, but he ends up getting the intentional grounding. That was such a huge difference maker. This was the sack, the first one on the 2nd and 21, not to end the game, but the second one that basically, or the first play that really made that difference after the intentional grounding. They're matched up everywhere in the secondary, and you can see like everyone basically gets there. They bring 5 with Baker, but Sealer wins, Wilkins gets there, Phillips gets there, everyone with all this action. You can see this interesting lineup. Like they have them both playing to this side. Him as like a 4-eye, him as like a 1 right here, and they knife to the inside. They slide to the left here. So you're thinking with this alignment, they know the offensive line's basically going to slide to the left just based on the numbers that they could bring from here. So they slide to the left, but they're all off their first step, knife to the inside. So he's able to win very quickly just based off their first step there. Steeler gets that pressure. Wilkins is coming back around. Phillips also to the outside. Herbert really has nowhere to go, and that's what happens. And they're playing man-to-man basically on the backside to just take things away quickly, so there's no quick option like first zone. And then they bring the dime on the blitz. Look how they're overloading to this side. They want the Chargers to slide to this side this time. Like last time they slid away from the overload. This time they're sliding towards it, like that one sack that Kohu had. And Phillips, Bethel meet at the point of attack. You can see them both from this angle, just how this is set up. Phillips is not even on the screen. He's so wide because this tight end lined up here. He's like, bro, I'm going way wide outside. He's like, I'm not getting chipped this time. He was getting chipped all game. So he lines up super outside. Steeler changes up his position pre-snap to get them to like point this out and be like, hey, we're going to slide to the right here for sure. Even like look at 77. His eyes go to the right. And then Bethel's able to sneak in here. Herbert's like, oh, I'm about to get hit here. I got to let this go or slide to the right. But then Phillips is winning around the edge with speed, and they just meet him right there at the point of attack. Great play. Very good job. Pretty smart play from Chubb as well. Just make sure you're attacking this outside angle to give Bethel that free run. And he's also like pretty close there to help get an impactful play as well. Just very, very smart play calling by Fangio at the end of the game. So that at least they stepped up when it mattered. And hopefully they can build off this momentum. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get to the peace.